Have you ever built the perfect morning routine? Woke up early, drank the water, did the workout, took the cold shower, wrote the journal, and still felt empty, like you were doing everything right? Yet something inside you stayed quiet and unsatisfied? You finish the routine and look around as if the day should feel different now, but instead you feel the same. And the strangest part is that you can't explain why, because on paper, you did what successful people do. This is the story of Ryan, a man who tried every morning routine he could find, not because he loved routines, but because he was desperate to finally feel like his life had meaning again. Ryan wasn't lazy, and he wasn't careless, because he was the kind of person who could force himself to do hard things. And that ability made him believe that discipline alone could fix anything. So when he started feeling empty, he treated emptiness like a problem to solve, and he went looking for a system that promised a clear result. He watched videos about high performers, downloaded habit trackers, followed influencers, and copied routines step by step, as if life was a machine and the right sequence would finally produce happiness. For a while it felt exciting, because new routines feel like a fresh start, and fresh starts give the mind hope, even before anything truly changes. He bought a new alarm clock, planned his mornings the night before, and felt proud when he checked boxes early, because checking boxes is a clean kind of progress. But after a few days, the same feeling returned, not always dramatic, sometimes subtle, like a quiet grayness that followed him even after he did everything correctly. He would stand in the kitchen with his protein shake and feel nothing, and that scared him, because he thought effort should earn him something emotional. So he changed the routine again, because when you don't get the feeling you want, you assume the method is wrong, not the reason you're doing it. He switched to meditation, then breath work, then gratitude journaling, then a 5 a.m. run, then affirmations, then cold plunges, then reading 10 pages, then writing goals, then all of them together. Some mornings he looked like a disciplined machine, moving from task to task, yet inside he still felt like a person waiting for life to start. And what made it worse was that everyone praised him, because his routine looked impressive from the outside, and praise can make you feel even more lonely when the inside doesn't match. Ryan started asking himself a dangerous question in the quiet moments after the routine was done. Why am I still empty if I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do? He didn't say that question out loud, because it sounded ungrateful. And when you feel empty, you often pretend you're fine, because you don't want to disappoint people who think you're strong. So he kept optimizing, as if emptiness was a performance issue, as if he just needed to tweak a few variables, and the feeling would finally appear. But the more he optimized, the more trapped he felt, because routines became a cage when they were built to escape a feeling instead of build a life. Ryan didn't notice it at first, but he was using routines the way some people use noise, as a way to avoid hearing the deeper truth under the surface. Because emptiness isn't always a lack of discipline. Sometimes emptiness is a signal, and signals get louder when you keep ignoring them. Ryan's days were full, yet he felt hollow. And hollow is a different kind of tired, because it's not physical exhaustion. It's the exhaustion of living without direction. He still succeeded at work, still met expectations, still looked responsible, but inside he felt disconnected, like his life was happening around him rather than through him. He started waking up with a quiet dread, not because he hated his life, but because he couldn't feel it, and not feeling your life is one of the most painful experiences a person can carry. So he chased morning routines harder, because morning routines were the one place he could control, and control feels safe when meaning feels uncertain. One morning he woke up and realized he was tired before he even started. And that tiredness wasn't from the routine itself. It was from the pressure that the routine had to fix him. Because when you believe the routine must save you, every morning becomes a test. And failing a test of identity feels heavier than failing a task. Ryan sat on the edge of his bed and stared at his checklist. And instead of feeling motivated, he felt resentment, because his routine had become a job he didn't apply for. He did it anyway, because he was disciplined. But as he meditated, he felt restless. As he exercised, he felt numb. And as he wrote gratitude, he felt dishonest. That morning, the emptiness felt sharper. Not cruel, but clear, like a message finally breaking through the noise. This isn't working. Ryan tried to distract himself with the day, but the feeling followed him. And by evening, he felt the quiet panic of a person who has tried everything and doesn't know what to try next. He went for a walk, not as part of a routine, but because he needed air. And sometimes the body asks for simplicity when the mind becomes too complex. He walked past a small bookstore and stopped without planning to. And something about the stillness inside pulled him in, as if his nervous system wanted a different kind of environment. Inside, an older woman was rearranging books on a table, calm and unhurried, and Ryan felt drawn to that calm, because he hadn't felt it in a long time. He wandered the shelves, not searching for a title, just moving, and the woman looked up and asked a simple question that landed with unexpected precision. "What are you looking for?" Ryan almost answered with a joke, but the question hit deeper than books, and for a moment, he didn't know how to respond, because he didn't know what he was looking for anymore. He finally said, "I don't know," and the honesty in that sentence surprised him, because he rarely admitted uncertainty out loud. The woman nodded as if she understood, and she said something quiet that changed the shape of the problem. "You can't fill emptiness with routines if the emptiness is coming from a life you don't feel connected to." Ryan felt defensive because he had worked hard, and people who work hard don't want to hear that effort might be aimed at the wrong target. He asked what she meant, and she pointed to the notebook in his hand, the habit tracker he carried everywhere like proof that he was trying. She said routines are powerful, but they're not a substitute for meaning, and meaning doesn't come from optimizing your morning. It comes from living in alignment with what matters to you. Ryan didn't know how to measure that, because he knew how to measure tasks, steps, minutes, pages, but he didn't know how to measure whether his life felt real. So he asked the only question he knew, "What should I do?" The woman didn't give him a complicated plan, because complicated plans feed the same addiction to control, and control is not the same as connection. She gave him a simple framework, a different kind of morning practice, not a performance routine, but an alignment routine, designed to answer a deeper question. She called it the 3 anchors, and she said if you start your day anchored, your actions stop feeling empty because they begin to belong to you again. The first anchor, she said, is presence, because emptiness grows when you live in your head and never arrive in your body. The second anchor is purpose, because effort without purpose becomes motion that drains you instead of building you. The third anchor is connection, because the deepest emptiness is often loneliness, even when people are around you, because you can be surrounded and still feel unseen. Ryan listened carefully, because for the first time in months, he felt like someone was naming the real problem rather than selling him a louder solution. She told him to try it for 30 days, not because 30 days is magic, but because the mind needs repetition to trust a new direction. That night, Ryan didn't plan an intense routine. He simply wrote 3 lines on a piece of paper and placed it where he would see it in the morning. The lines were simple: arrive, aim, connect, and the simplicity made him nervous, because simple things feel too small when you're used to chasing big fixes. Morning came, and Ryan woke up and felt the familiar urge to perform, to immediately prove he was disciplined, to begin sprinting so he wouldn't feel behind. But he paused because he remembered the first anchor, and he sat up slowly and placed one hand on his chest to remind his body that he was here. He took 10 slow breaths and noticed how quickly his mind tried to run away, how quickly it searched for stimulation, and how uncomfortable stillness felt. He didn't fight the discomfort. He simply stayed present, because presence is not the absence of anxiety. It is the decision not to abandon yourself when anxiety appears. When the breaths ended, he moved to the second anchor, and instead of writing goals, he wrote one sentence of purpose, One sentence about what kind of person he wanted to be today. Not what he wanted to achieve, but who he wanted to be. Because emptiness often comes from living as a worker rather than a person. He wrote, "Today I will act like my life matters." And the sentence felt strange, because he realized he hadn't been acting like that, even while he was achieving things. Then he moved to the third anchor, connection, and he asked himself one question that felt almost too human for a routine. Who needs me today? And who do I need today? He wrote one name, not 10, one person he would reach out to, not to impress, not to network, but to connect. He sent a simple message, not long, not dramatic, just honest, and the act of sending it made him feel a small warmth that his checklists never produced. After the anchors, he still exercised, still worked, still lived his responsibilities. But something was different, because his actions were now linked to a deeper intention. The day didn't feel perfect, but it felt more real, like he was inside it rather than watching it. And that difference mattered more than productivity. On day 2, his mind tried to return to optimization, because the mind loves measurable control and connection is harder to measure. But he kept the anchors, because the goal wasn't to build an impressive routine. The goal was to build a life that didn't feel empty. By the end of the first week, Ryan noticed something surprising. His emptiness wasn't constant anymore. It came in waves, and waves can be navigated. He realized emptiness often arrived when he abandoned presence, when he chased tasks to avoid feelings, and when he avoided honest connection. So instead of adding more habits, he protected the anchors, because anchors don't add weight, they add stability. In week 2, he started seeing how many of his routines were built from fear. Fear of falling behind, fear of wasting time, fear of not being enough. And he realized fear-based routines can create discipline, but they can't create fulfillment, because fear motivates movement, not meaning. He began to choose a different driver, not fear, but alignment. And alignment made his effort feel lighter, because it wasn't a fight against himself. He started saying no to routines that were performative, routines he did to feel superior or safe, and he kept the routines that supported presence and purpose. He learned that a morning routine is not meant to make you impressive. It's meant to make you available to your own life. In week 3, he noticed his focus improved, not because he forced it, but because his mind wasn't constantly searching for something missing. When you feel connected to meaning, you stop needing constant stimulation because you're no longer trying to escape yourself. Ryan still had empty moments, because emptiness doesn't disappear overnight. But he stopped panicking when it arrived, because he understood what it was pointing to. It was pointing to disconnection, and disconnection can be repaired, not with more performance, but with presence, purpose, and connection. On day 20, Ryan woke up and realized he didn't feel dread, not because his life changed dramatically, but because he changed the way he entered his life. He started the day arriving in his body, aiming his effort toward values, and reconnecting with people. And those 3 things made the day feel less hollow. By day 30, he could finally name the truth that had been hidden under all his routines. He wasn't empty because he lacked discipline. He was empty because his life wasn't aligned with what mattered. He realized you can wake up early and still live numb. You can meditate and still avoid truth. You can journal and still hide from yourself if your routines are only escapes. But when routines become anchors, they stop being cages and they become doorways. And doorways lead you back into your own life. So if you've tried every morning routine and still feel empty, don't assume you're broken, and don't assume you need a harder routine. Instead, ask a deeper question before you add another habit. Am I doing this to connect with my life, or am I doing this to run from it? Try the 3 anchors for 30 days. Arrive in your body, aim your effort toward values, and connect with one real person each morning. Because emptiness is not defeated by performance, it's healed by alignment. And alignment begins the moment you stop trying to optimize your morning and start trying to live your life. And remember this quietly and clearly, the way Ryan learned it through repetition and honesty. Every story reshapes your mindset, and every morning is a chance to feel your life again.